There is a soul sitting in the dark right now. Not your soul. Theirs. They are sitting alone in a room made of shadow and silence. And in front of them, there is a letter. A letter they started writing a long time ago. A letter that was always meant for you. They have picked up the pen more times than you will ever know. They have written your name at the top of that page again and again and again. But every time they reach the part where the truth begins, their hand stops, their breath catches, and they fold the letter up, press it against their chest, and hide it somewhere deep inside themselves. This has been happening for longer than you think. They did not stop writing because they stopped caring. They stopped writing because what they feel for you is so real, so heavy, so sacred, that putting it into words terrifies them. Saying it out loud would mean admitting something they have been running from, and they are not ready for that. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But here is what they do not know. The universe does not lose letters. Every word a soul writes in the dark, even if the ink never touches paper, the universe keeps it. God holds every unsent letter in a sacred space, waiting for the right moment to deliver it. And tonight, that moment has arrived. Tonight I'm going to read you the letter they never sent. Not because they gave me permission, but because your soul has been waiting to receive it. And God decided you have waited long enough, so let your shoulders drop. Let the weight in your chest soften. Let yourself be still for a moment. This is the unsent letter. This is what they could not say. The first part of this letter is the hardest part, because this is where they finally say what they have been pretending is not true. This is where the mask begins to crack. This is where the silence breaks open. And the very first line of the letter says this: I see you. I know you think I do not notice. I know you think I moved on and forgot and stopped looking. But I see you. I have always seen you. I see the way you hold yourself together when everything inside you is shaking. I see the way you smile at people even when your heart is tired. I see the way you carry sacred weight that was never yours to carry, and you never complain, and you never ask for help, and you just keep going. I see you in ways I never told you about. I see you when you think nobody is watching. When you are moving through the world alone and something sad crosses your spirit for just a second before you push it down. When you are surrounded by voices but something inside you feels completely silent. When you're lying awake in the dark, replaying moments that happened years ago, wondering if you gave too much, wondering if you loved too deeply, wondering if that is why people leave. I see all of that. I have always seen all of that. And there were moments, quiet, ordinary, almost divine moments, when I looked at you and something inside me broke open. Not broke apart, broke open. Like a door that had been locked for years suddenly swinging wide. Like light pouring into a room that had been dark for so long it forgot what warmth felt like. And I did not know what to do with that. I did not know how to hold that feeling. So I looked away. I pretended it was nothing. I kept moving. But it was never nothing. It was everything. And the weight of pretending it was nothing is what kept me writing this letter over and over, night after night, in the deepest part of my soul. And before this letter goes any further, I want to ask you something. If you know exactly who this letter is from, type their initial right now. Just the first letter. Your soul already knows. I watched you love people who did not love you back. I watched you pour your light into places that gave you nothing in return. And every time, something inside me whispered, do they not see what I see? Do they not feel what I feel? How can anyone stand that close to that much divine light and still choose to walk away? I wanted to protect you. I wanted to stand between you and every person who could not see what I saw. I wanted to say, stop giving yourself to people who will never understand the weight of what they are holding. Stop opening your heart to hands that do not know how to be gentle with it. But I could not say that. I could not tell you that. Because telling you would mean opening a door I was not sure I could ever close again. And I was not sure I deserved to walk through that door. I was not sure I was the kind of soul who could love you the way you needed to be loved. So I stayed quiet. And my silence became the cruelest sentence I ever wrote. There is a concept in the soul world called the unsent letter. Carl Jung wrote about the shadow, the part of ourselves we keep hidden, the part we refuse to look at, the part that holds everything we are too afraid to claim. And sometimes, the thing we hide deepest is not our darkness, it is our love. It is the truth of how much we care. Because admitting love is more terrifying than admitting hate. Love makes us vulnerable. Love means we can be hurt. And this person, the one who wrote this letter, they have been hiding their love for you in the deepest part of their shadow. Not because the love is shameful, but because the love is so real that it frightens them. That is why the letter was never sent. Not because you were not worth the words, but because you were worth too many words. And they did not know how to hold that. I need you to know something. When I went quiet, it was not because I stopped feeling. The silence was never empty. The silence was full. It was so full of everything I wanted to say to you that it turned into pressure. And the pressure turned into distance. And the distance turned into something that looked like I did not care. But the silence was always a letter I could not finish. Every time I closed my eyes and thought of you, a new sentence formed. Every time I heard something that reminded me of you, another paragraph wrote itself. There is a version of this letter that is thousands of pages long. There is a version of this letter that has no ending, because what I feel for you has no ending, and I know, you deserve to hear that sooner. You deserve to hear that when it mattered. You deserve to not have to wonder. I am sorry you had to wonder. Let that line land for a moment. Let it settle into the part of your chest where you have been carrying the weight of not knowing, because that is what an unsent letter does. It leaves the receiver holding an invisible weight, a question with no answer, a door that stays half open, and your body has been holding that weight without even knowing what it was. But now you know. Now you can begin to set it down. The letter goes deeper now. This is where they stop being careful. This is where the walls come all the way down. What comes next may reach places you were not expecting, not because the words are harsh, but because the words are true. And truth, when it has been buried for a long time, comes up heavy. Breathe with me for a moment. Let your body prepare to receive this. The truth is, I did not leave because I wanted to. The truth is, there were days after I left when I sat in the silence and felt your absence like a wound that would not close, like a sound that would not stop, like a part of me had been removed and placed somewhere I could not reach. The truth is, I still reach for you in my sleep, not with my hands, with something deeper, with the part of me that remembers what it felt like to be seen by you, to be safe with you, to be the version of myself I could only be when you were near. The truth is, I told people I was fine. I told myself I was fine. I built an entire life around the idea that leaving was the right thing. But late at night, when nobody is watching, the letter opens itself again. And I am right back at the beginning, writing your name, trying to find the words. The truth is, I never stopped carrying you. The truth is, I carry you in places I do not even understand. In the way I pause when I hear a certain song. In the way certain words feel different in my mouth because you used to say them. In the way my body still turns toward the door sometimes, like it is expecting you to walk through it. The truth is, I tried to replace what we had. I tried to fill the space you left with noise and movement and new faces and busy hands. But nothing fit. Nothing came close. Because you did not just occupy a space in my life. You changed the shape of the space itself. And now, nothing else can fill it. Because it is shaped like you. Type, I always knew, if you felt this in your body before you heard it. If something in your chest just tightened or released. If your eyes just filled. If something deep inside you just said, I knew it. I always knew. Because the soul always knows what the mind refuses to accept. Your soul has been reading this letter long before tonight. It has been feeling the weight of their unspoken words across time, across distance, across every wall they built between you. And now the words are finally being said out loud, not by them, but through them, through the unsent letter that the universe has been holding for you. And in this space, where the unsent meets the received, something holy is present. God has been watching you carry the weight of this person's silence, watching you wonder if you mattered. And tonight, God wants you to know you were never forgotten, not by the universe, not by the divine, and not by the one who wrote this letter. Sometimes silence between two souls is not punishment, it is preparation. The silence was not a wall. It was a cocoon. Something was growing inside it. Something was being written inside it. And tonight, it is finally ready to be received. There is something else. Something I never told anyone, not even myself. I was afraid of you. Not afraid of your anger, not afraid of your sadness, not afraid of anything you did or said. I was afraid of how clearly you saw me. I was afraid of how easily you moved through my walls. I was afraid that if I stayed close to you long enough, I would have to become the person I was always meant to be. And I was not ready for that. You made me want to be honest. And honesty was the one thing I'd spent my whole life avoiding. So I ran. Not from you. From the version of myself that only existed when I was with you. From the softness. From the openness. From the truth that I am more myself with you than I have ever been with anyone. And running from that truth is the greatest regret I carry. Close your eyes for a moment. Let this part of the letter land. Do not try to understand it with your mind. Let your soul receive it. Let your body hold it. There is nothing you need to do right now. Nothing you need to fix or figure out. Just let the words be here. Let them rest in the space between your heartbeat and your breath. Something sacred is happening in this room right now. Something is moving through the air between this letter and your heart. You may feel it as warmth. You may feel it as pressure. You may feel it as the strange and quiet feeling of being held by someone who is not in the room. Imagine, just for a moment, that you're standing in a vast open space. There is no ground beneath you. There is no sky above you. There is only golden light, soft, dim, warm, stretching in every direction. And in this space, there is no time, no past, no future, no mistakes, no regret, just you, just your soul, floating, resting, being held by something you cannot see but have always felt. This is the space between the words of the letter. This is where the silence lives. Not the painful silence, not the silence of being ignored, the sacred silence, the silence that holds everything together, the silence that says, you are safe here. You do not have to carry anything in this space. You can just be. Stay here for one more breath. Let the golden light move through your chest. Let it soften whatever is tight. Let it warm whatever has gone cold. And when you are ready, the letter will continue. I think about the moments I wasted, the times I could have spoken, but chose silence. The times I could have stayed, but chose to go. The times I looked at you and felt everything and said nothing. I think about the last time I saw your face, the way the light fell across your skin, the way your eyes held something you were trying not to show me. And I wonder, did you know? In that moment, did you know that I was writing this letter in my head? Did you feel the words forming behind my silence? Because they were there. They have always been there. Every single time we were in the same room, this letter was being written. Every single time you looked at me and I looked away, another line was added. And the letter grew longer and heavier and more impossible to send with every passing day. If I could go back to one of those moments, or just one, I would not change what happened. I would just say what was true. I would look at you and say, "You are the most important thing that has ever happened to me. And I am sorry I made you feel like you were not, because you were, you are, you always will be. And I know words on a page cannot undo time. I know this letter arriving now, after everything, might feel too late. But the soul does not believe in too late. The soul only believes in truth. And this is the truest thing I have ever written. Let those words move through you slowly. Do not rush past them. Do not try to be strong right now. This is not a moment for strength. This is a moment for receiving. This is a moment for allowing the truth to soften the hard places inside you that had to become hard just to survive the not knowing. You spent so long building walls around the part of you that loved this person. You had to. Because loving someone who cannot speak their truth to you is one of the most exhausting things a soul can do. It is like holding your arms open in an empty room, waiting for an embrace that never comes. And eventually, you had to put your arms down. Not because you stopped wanting the embrace, but because your arms were so tired. This letter is the embrace. Late? Yes. Imperfect? Yes. Delivered by the universe instead of by their hands? Yes. But it is here. And your arms can finally rest. And as they rest, the letter speaks again. There is a part of me that lives only for you. I do not say that to make you stay. I do not say that to pull you back. I say it because it is the one thing in my entire life that I am completely certain of. Everything else, my plans, my decisions, my direction, all of it shifts. All of it changes. But this one thing stays. This feeling, this knowing, this invisible thread between your soul and mine that no distance, no silence, no amount of time has ever been able to break. I do not know what it means. I do not know where it leads. But I know it is real, and I know it matters. And I know that if I never send this letter, the truest part of me will remain unspoken. And I do not want to leave this life with the most important words still locked inside my chest. The letter is reaching its deepest point now. Everything before this was the truth they were hiding. But what comes next is the truth they were hiding from themselves. The one line they wrote and erased 1,000 times. The one line that kept them awake. The one line that made this letter impossible to send. So here it is. Here is everything. I loved you in ways I could not name. I loved you in silence and in shadow and in the spaces between words. I loved you when I should not have, and I loved you when it hurt. And I loved you even when I convinced myself I did not. And I love you still. There. That is the line I could never write. That is the sentence that stopped my hand every time. That is the reason this letter was never sent. because once you say I love you still, there is no taking it back. And I was not brave enough to live in a world where you knew that and might not say it back. Let your hand come to your heart. Press gently. Feel the warmth. That warmth is not just your body. That is the resonance of truth arriving. When words that were always meant for you finally reach you, the body responds. The heart recognizes what the mind doubted, and something that was tight begins to loosen. Something that was frozen begins to thaw. This is what it feels like to receive an unsent letter. This is what it feels like when the universe finally delivers what was always yours. The letter is almost over now, but the last part is not sadness. The last part is not goodbye. The last part is something unexpected. It is a blessing, because even in the middle of everything they could not say, this person still found a way to wish you well. And that tells you something about the depth of what they feel. I do not know if we will ever sit across from each other again. I do not know if you will ever hear my voice say these words out loud. I do not know what the universe has planned for us, together or apart. But I know this. Meeting you changed me, not in a small way, not in a way I can undo. You moved something inside me that nobody else has ever reached. You touched a part of my soul that I did not even know existed until you found it. And that part of me belongs to you now. It always will. I am not the same person I was before you. I walk differently. I breathe differently. I notice things I never noticed before. The way light falls through windows in the late afternoon. The way silence can feel like company instead of loneliness. The way a single memory can make an entire room feel warm. You taught me those things. Not with words, just by being who you are. And I will carry those teachings with me wherever I go. They are woven into me now. They are part of the fabric of who I have become. And every good thing I do from this point forward has your fingerprint on it, whether you know it or not, whether I ever tell you or not. So, wherever you are tonight, whether you are lying in bed with the lights off, or sitting in the quiet of your own thoughts, or listening to this with tears you did not plan on crying, I want you to know something. You did not imagine it. What was between us was real. What you felt was not one-sided. What you gave was not wasted. And what you meant to me is more than I will ever be brave enough to say with my own mouth. But my soul is braver than I am. And my soul wrote this letter. And somehow, by some miracle, it found you tonight. Something is beginning to shift. Not between you and this person. Something deeper. Something inside you. Because truth, even when it arrives late, still has the power to set something free inside you. The person listening to this 30 minutes ago, the one who was still wondering, still holding the question, still carrying the invisible heaviness of not knowing, that person is already changing, already softening, already becoming lighter. But now you know. And knowing changes everything. Not because it fixes the past, not because it brings them back, but because it releases you from the story that said, maybe I was not enough, maybe they did not care, maybe I made it all up. You did not make it up. It was always real. And this letter is the proof your soul has been waiting for. Type, "This letter is mine," if you accept it into your heart, if you are ready to stop wondering and start knowing. This letter has traveled through silence and shadow and time to find you, and it is yours now. Nobody can take it from you. I will close this letter the only way I know how. Thank you. Thank you for being the kind of soul that makes other souls want to be honest. Thank you for being soft in a world that rewards hardness. Thank you for carrying the weight of my silence without becoming bitter. Thank you for still being here. If the universe ever gives me the courage to say all of this to your face, I hope I do not waste it. But if it does not, if this letter is the closest I ever come to telling you the truth, then let it be enough. Let these words be the arms I could not wrap around.